Welcome back, fight fans. It's your boy Blue here. We're going to be talking about UFC 270. That's all we got today because there's nothing this Saturday, sadly. And sadly, I was actually going to be watching and then covering Unified MMA. I think it was Unified, I want to say 73, 71. I don't know, 70 something, I believe. But or was it 43? I don't remember. Either way, sadly, it looks like it's been moved to March, I think. So that kind of sucks. I was looking forward to doing that because then at least we could have an article out on Sunday, get the amateurs something going, give some bonuses out, just watch some more fights. Now there won't be anything. There won't be any fights this week. Sad weekend. It's like Christmas all over again, and not in a good way. So we'll just talk about UFC 270. It was great. Of course it was. I mean, we knew it was going to be good. 2 title fights, first pay-per-view of the year. A lot of rookies coming up. I didn't write how many it was. It was either 6 or 7. There were quite a few of them. And well, that is actually one thing we're going to be doing this weekend. I'll be giving out my bonuses for January, including my first rookie of the month. And we'll be talking about that person later because they were from this card. Because, I mean, really, there was only, 1, maybe 2 rookies before this? I'm pretty close, I will say. Vyacheslav Borshev was pretty close in there, but I ended up giving it to somebody else. Anyway. So we'll be doing that as well. In fact, I could actually even... no, I don't have it up. I was going to just say the monthly bonuses at the end too, but I'm not sure. Maybe I will. You know what? Maybe I will. We need some content. Why not? Anyway, so we'll start off with the prelims, of course. Of course. We started off actually with the first prelim that I was talking about. The one that I really wanted to see because Kay Hansen is my favorite. Well, one of my favorite women fighters. I don't know if I'd say she is my favorite, but definitely top 3. She is one of my favorites. And it was a sad night for us Kay Hansen fans. Sad night. I was saying she was going to win it by decision. New division for her. She's fighting up. So, that plus, they're not necessarily known for all their finishes. What else was there? And Jasmine is pretty tough. So I figured it would be hard to get a finish. So I was thinking it was going to be a decision here. And I also didn't really think Jasmine was going to get a finish either here. So what did we see? It started off pretty even. And Jasmine's reach advantage was definitely pretty obvious. Like I said, it would be. But like I thought, Kay did pretty well with that, actually. She did pretty well on the feet. Going in, I really thought that Hansen would have the grappling advantage, which is why I thought she was going to win here. Excuse me. Because then, she could get in close, use the grappling advantage on the fence, on the ground, win the fight like that. And I was right. I was right that the person with the grappling advantage did win. But that person was not Kay Hansen this time. I was actually very surprised. Jasmine actually shut down all of Kay's takedowns, controlled her on the ground, and landed a bunch of elbows throughout the first 2 rounds. So that's kind of really what won the decision. It was just the first 2 rounds, and that's really all that was. And Kay brought it back in the final round, used her striking, which, again, it's so weird to think because she's the much shorter... what's the opposite of long? Short, I guess. She's the much shorter striker. So normally that's why I was going in towards the grappling thing. But the shorter striker was actually doing better here. Kay Hansen was actually looking very good on the feet. Looked amazing. Yeah. She definitely won the 3rd round there, but, he lost the first 2 rounds, sadly, with the ground stuff. So Jasmine Jasdovikius defeated Kay Hansen by unanimous decision. I do want to see Kay Hansen again. Of course I do. But she actually said that she'll probably be going back down a division again. I don't really know why she went up a division, because if she's going to go back down, I thought it was because now that she's eating healthier and living healthier in general, I just thought that that was going to be her more natural weight. I mean, I don't know her personally. I don't know if that is her more comfortable weight. Who knows? But the fact that she's actually saying she's going to move down again tells me that she could have done it. Because I mean, she's been off for over a year. Why not then cut down to the division that you wanted to fight in the first place? I don't know. That seemed a little weird to me, but I think she would do a lot better down there because she is very short. Like, she's even a little short in the other division. So she's very short in the in the flyweight division where she was just fighting there. So I'm not saying she can't do well at flyweight. Of course not. She's very young. I think she's only 22. Yeah, I think she's 22. So I mean, come on. The sky's the limit. She's going to be amazing. 4 or 5 years from now, she's going to be incredible. I can see that. Yeah, I really thought she had the grappling advantage. I guess she's got to work with heavier people, I guess. Really work up on that strength, because that's really what let her down. It wasn't the technique necessarily. It was just that Jasmine was just a lot bigger. That's really all it was. And we saw that in the main event too, and we'll get to that after. But anyway, so yeah, disappointing for all the Kay Hansen fans. But I did not know that Jasmine was Canadian, so that's kind of cool. So we got another Canadian win. That's nice. We don't usually see that, which is also what I would have said last week. I would have said, she's Canadian, don't bet on her. So that was also going against her there too. In the second one, Vanessa Demopoulos and Silvana Gomez Juarez. And Vanessa Demopoulos got a surprise submission in the first round. I say it was a surprise because I thought she was knocked out. And I'm pretty sure she actually was knocked out, which is what she said in her post-fight interview in the octagon there. Crazy fight. Absolutely insane. It really seemed like it was done a minute in. It really did. Silvana smoked her, absolutely smoked Demopoulos with a huge hook, dropped her to the floor, and then she literally woke up. I'm not even kidding. She even said she was full on asleep, woke up, used her jiu-jitsu, and ended up getting a devastating armbar, a come from behind submission in the very first round. And she actually even said it was because Gomez Juarez was actually working into her position instead of working out of it. It was really weird, because even watching it, I was like, oh, that's not good. Don't do that. Don't put your arm there. That's not good at all. But yeah, great win for her. Amazing. I like I said, everybody thought that was it. She probably thought that was it. But crazy to stay composed and get the submission there. After that, we had Matt Frivola beating Genaro Valdez by TKO in the first round. This ended up being the KO of the night. These two definitely came in ready to put on a show. Both of them were throwing huge bombs. Both landed a bunch of big shots, but Frivola was definitely ahead there. Crazy. I mean, I don't know what the ref was looking at, but seriously, he landed 5 or 6 knockdowns, like full-on knockdowns. I'm not talking about, was he knocked down or not? No, like he was knocked on his ass 5 or 6 times with his eyes closed in the first round. The ref did not stop the fight there at all. He realized he was not going to get the fight done on the feet like that. So he ended up getting on his back, swarmed him with some ground and pound, and got him like that. Absolutely insane. I cannot imagine that. Can you imagine getting knocked down 5 or 6 times in a row like that in the first round? Like literally within the first couple minutes? Unreal. And especially as a ref, I was like, bro, are you going to stop this? Are you going to stop this, man? Like, this is not good. Not close. He was not putting up a fight either, I will say. Anyway, fight number 4. Tony Gravely beat Simon Olivera. That is another rookie. I should have said Valdez was the second rookie of the night, because Jasmine Jasdovikius was actually in the lead for Rookie of the Month. If I was going to do a woman's Rookie of the Month, I would have picked her for sure because there wasn't really any competition. But she was very close. I would say she was in third for Rookie of the Month. It would be the person I chose, then Borshev, then Jasmine right there. Anyway, Simon Olivera, another rookie. Tony Gravely defeated him by decision. Started off pretty crazy like the last fight that we just talked about, but instead of a lot of punches, we actually saw a lot of clinches and submissions all over the place. And it actually seemed like Olivera had won right away, actually. He got a deep guillotine in. And by the way, he was throwing up guillotines literally the whole fight. It was crazy to watch. But Gravely managed to get out of it, and all of the other submission attempts, obviously, because he ended up winning. He got caught in a few of them throughout the fight, but because he was on top all the time, because usually when you're in a guillotine attempt, you're on top. So yeah, he got a lot of top control from all of that. And the third round was the same. Gravely landed a couple more significant strikes there. Really, I mean, because of those attempts, you could have maybe kind of argued that some of those, one or two of those rounds could have gone either way. But, because he's not getting the attempts and Gravely is still on top in control, you got to give the rounds to him. And yeah, he edged ahead in each round there, getting the unanimous decision win. In the next fight, we actually saw two rookies. We had Jack Della Elena beating Pete Rodriguez by TKO in the first round. Very good. The only reason I did not put this up for any kind of bonus was just because it was like, well, it was a very good performance by Della Maddalena. But you got to remember, he was also fighting a rookie. It's not like he was fighting somebody who's already been in the UFC, who's got that experience. That's the only reason why he didn't get any kind of bonus here. But he did look very good. Like I said, two rookies coming down in here. It really came down to who looked more comfortable. That was very, very clear. You didn't have to be any kind of expert to see who was more comfortable in there. Della Maddalena was so comfortable. He looked so smooth on the feet, so smooth in everything. You could tell even when he was walking into the octagon. Didn't look nervous at all. Even after in his interview, sounded like he had been there a dozen times already. And really, Pete Rodriguez, as soon as he started fighting, I was like, oh no. He was so stiff. He was like, whereas Jack was like, the smooth, like, oh yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Pete was not like that. He was really tight. And you don't want to be tight and, you don't want to be stiff like that. That's not good. That is not good. So I think it was just a little bit too much. It's not a good combination. So yeah, Jack is very, very young. I forget how old he is. I think he's like 23 or something. Very skilled. Seriously, he looked amazing and very, very confident. You should have heard his post-fight interview there in the octagon. If you could understand what he was saying, that is. I'm pretty good with accents, so I got about 95% of what he said, but there was still a little bit where I was like, huh? Huh? So yeah, he's going to be real dangerous in the very near future, I would say. It just sucks though for those Australian and New Zealand fighters because they're so far away. It's so hard for them to get fights unless they want to stay here. It just really sucks the way that works out because, it's different when, before the whole COVID thing happened because they had fights in Europe all the time. They even had fights in Australia. So, they could kind of go that way. And that's what we had with Fight Island too. That's why we saw a lot of them go over there, is because it was a lot closer for them. But now, it's like they have to take, what is it, like a 16-hour flight or something, plus all the restrictions. And if you're from New Zealand, you've got that extra week or 10 days or something like that. I can't remember. That you have to stay in isolation. I don't know if it's before, but you definitely after. So you got all the quarantine on both sides, both sides of it. I mean, it's just so much to go through. I totally understand. I wouldn't want to do it either. Absolutely insane. So to see him do a performance like that, amazing. But yeah, maybe hopefully this year, fingers crossed, this year we will be able to have, more international events. They're talking about Brazil and London. So hopefully because of that, we'll see some more international fighters again, I would love to see, we all would love to see that. I mean, come on. In the next fight, Victor Henry beating Raoni Barcelos. I didn't talk about this one before. Actually, I did. This was in the parlay. That everybody was doing. Because, I mean, Barcelos, biggest favorite of the night. Of course he was in the parlay. But who expected this? Rookie Victor Henry got the unanimous decision. And saying that against Barcelos, I mean, that's crazy. And it was insane, this fight. It ended up being fight of the night. I ended up giving Henry the most valuable fighter and rookie of the month. Like I said, I said I was going to say it. He got the rookie of the month. What was I going to say? Yeah, 2 bantamweights here. Just so many piling up the strike totals. It seemed really that Barcelos had that advantage in the first round. I think I would say that in the first round he did, with that striking, but near the end of the first round and then in the second and the third, Henry actually turned it around. He landed the bigger shots. He actually somehow was out striking Barcelos. And if you've ever seen Barcelos, he is very, very good on the feet. So that the fact that Henry did that the whole time very clearly won the decision. So many strikes, hundreds of strikes, didn't even look tired at the end. I mean, this guy is absolutely insane. And he's a rookie. That is why I gave him rookie of the month, because Barcelos has been around a long time. He's very, very good. Gotten some good wins in there too. I mean, amazing. So for a rookie to do that to him and look that good, I mean, you could honestly send him in maybe against somebody near the bottom of the rankings next time, or even, somebody just outside the rankings, because the bantamweights are very good. He's so good. I could really see him. I mean, he's going to be something huge real soon. I mean, yes, he is a little bit on the older side. I believe he was 33, 32, 34, something like that. So, he doesn't have necessarily a whole bunch of fights in him, but he looked so good. I mean, if he can keep that up, he's going to be in the rankings in no time. I mean, he looked so good. So, easy choice for rookie of the month. Plus, because he overcame those odds as being the biggest underdog of the night over Barcelos, and he looked that good, easy choice for most valuable fighter too. And of course, because the fight was so good, even though a lot of people and the UFC themselves said the flyweight title got the fight of the night bonus, I obviously loved that fight. But I will say, it wasn't all action. Like, yeah, it was dead even. Of course it was. I mean, I couldn't tell who was winning the whole time. But there were some moments where it was like, okay, they're not doing much. They're just feeling each other out. They're just, they're not doing a whole lot. But this fight was absolutely nonstop, back and forth. So much. I mean, it was just nonstop action. It was crazy to watch. So, easy choice for fight of the night for me. Then we had the main card. It started off with Michael Morales beating Trevin Giles. I think it's Giles. I don't think it's Giles. I'm pretty sure it's Giles. Anyway, by TKO in the first round. Not the most interesting fight, I will say. I mean, it kind of honestly for me ruined the momentum of the night because it was looking so good. It was just such an amazing night. And then we had this, which is, I'm not even sure why this was on the main card, but whatever. That aside, the momentum was actually favoring Giles a little bit right at the start. And then Morales just stumbled him, swarmed him with the ground and pound. And that was it. Got the first round finish, and he keeps his undefeated record. That was another rookie there. But again, wasn't really that interesting. So, of course, he wasn't going to get a bonus there. But still, got the finish against somebody who's fairly well known in the UFC. So, good for him, even though it was a boring fight. After that, Cody Stamann, Said Nurmagomedov. I told everybody going into this. I did say I thought it was going to be fairly close, and I feel like a lot of people thought it was going to be close. But I said you could see him getting a submission here. I knew, because I knew he was probably training with Khabib, or at least people that were around him, so it makes sense that he's going to be amazing on the ground. And what did he do? Got a submission in 50 seconds. And if you had listened, and I actually did put some money on this, so I cashed in on this, submission for Said, at any point in the fight, submission for Said was plus 1,000. Plus 1,000. Those are insane odds for somebody that's from Dagestan. Plus 1,000 for a submission? Come on. Of course I took that. So anyway, and that's exactly what we saw. There's really not much else to say. Said kind of shocked everybody a little bit just by how fast he did it. I thought, he was going to grind against the fence, clinch on the ground, stuff like that for the first round, maybe round and a half, like he might get the submission in the third, late in the second, something like that. That's kind of what I thought. But no, he got him on the ground in 30. Actually, no, he basically locked in the submission in less than 5 seconds. He really did. He tapped so hard. Anyway, yeah, he landed some strikes, but it was just Loki, stop. He's literally pushing my chair. What an idiot. Anyway, he took Cody to the ground, got a very quick submission. Like I said, he tapped within really like 2 seconds, less than a second almost. Like literally had his arm around. He's like, tap, 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 tap. Anyway, so crazy for that. I mean, and what's next for them? Obviously, after something like that, you're gonna and Cody Stamann was ranked before. Remember that. He was not ranked in this fight, but he was ranked before that. So keep that in mind. So he beat somebody like that in 50 seconds, somebody that was ranked before. So obviously he's getting somebody in the top 15 next time. I was thinking somebody like Frankie Edgar or Sun Xiao, who has lost one or two and they're making their way down the rankings. It could go that way. And that is actually usually what the Dagestani people do. They usually go after the easier people first. So, that would make sense for him. That's probably what he's going to do. I would like to see somebody like Yadong or Simone who are near the bottom, but they've looked very good. That would obviously be more interesting to see and would be much tougher. So I don't think he's going to go for it, but I would like to see it. Those would be great fights. After that, we had Michel Pereira. Of course, I was so excited. I mean, he's one of my favorites just because he is so absolutely insane against another rookie, Andre Fialho. I had Pereira by finish here. Of course I did, because he's going against a rookie. Plus, he's always so explosive. And unique. When you're fighting somebody that doesn't fight like anybody else, and somebody that explosive, and by the way, massive. He is huge for this division. He probably came in 20 pounds more that day on the fight. So, I mean, he is absolutely massive. So, of course, I was going with the finish here, especially considering his history, too. You had to keep that in mind, too. We talked about that last week. And, of course, that's what we were expecting. But Fialho actually did a very good job at shutting that down. He used actually constant forward pressure. the whole time to kind of shut down that craziness, especially in the first round. But in the second, Pereira came back to life. We saw the one that we all love throughout the spins, the flips, the elbows, knees, all over the place, stumbling Fialio multiple times. And that's what he's got to do. He's got to be that crazy, that crazy Pereira. He's got to be insane, that keep people off guard like that. So it was definitely 1-1 going into the third round. And then after 15 minutes were gone, it really just seemed like Pereira's skills, the diversity really of all the skills as a striker, using the knees, the elbows, the kicks, the punches, everything combined to pick Fialio apart and get the decision win. From what I remember, actually, they were pretty close to getting the same number of head strikes. But I mean, Fialio didn't attack the body or the legs, and Pereira had like 20 or 30 strikes for both the body and the legs. So I mean, you got to mix it up like that. There are levels to this game, literally. So yeah, he looked good, but I thought he was going to do a little bit better. Maybe that just says how good Fialio is. Or maybe Pereira's not as good as we think. I don't know. Either way, they both looked very good, though. Let's just say that. Ow. Then we had the co-main, the flyweight title fight, the third fight in the trilogy, possibly soon to be quadrilogy. Anyway, so going into this, I thought it was going to be Moreno, and he was the favorite. It made a lot of sense. Because, he had the belt. He finished Figgy last time. Made sense. But I specifically said this was a real toss-up. If you wanted to, from a betting standpoint, you could definitely put it on Figgy because he's the underdog and it's so even. Plus, he was so hungry going into it. And I said that too. I was like, you can never count Figgy out, because he is always one of the hungriest people you will ever see. I mean, he is terrifying, seriously. Even still. Anyway, so that was which way I was going. I was going Moreno, basically because of what happened in the last fight. Just as expected, this fight started off dead even. Both of them were careful, limiting their offense, trying to save their energy for later, not make any early mistakes. And that's what I was saying. That's why it was not fight of the night for me, because there was a lot of waiting out, keeping it easy. That's why it wasn't fight of the night. But anyway, and it was pretty even the rest of the whole fight. Of course it was, because nobody knew who was winning. And really, a lot of people everybody was either, Figgy won, or no, Moreno won. I'm still not sure, honestly. I'd have to rewatch it, honestly, to really pick who won. Because when I was watching it, I could not tell. I really could not tell. Anyway, so Figgy was using a lot of those leg kicks, landed a huge shot in the third round to drop Moreno, which might have been actually what won him the fight, because that round was a real toss-up to people. On the other hand, though, Moreno stumbled him a few times early on in the fight. So, it was really after the 25 minutes, like I said, nobody could really say for sure who the judges were going to pick. They really could have gone either way on it. I have no idea as a judge who I would have picked. Absolutely no idea. This is really one of the few fights that I have ever seen where I had absolutely no idea who was winning or who I would have picked to win. That never happens for me. I'm usually, actually, I would say, like 99% of the time, I completely agree, not necessarily with the judges, but with what everybody else seems to see. I mean, it's usually pretty obvious who wins a fight. But this one, I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. So they ended up giving it to 48-47 to Davison. Obviously, we know that. We've all seen the headlines and everything. A lot of people upset by that. A lot of people think it's justified that he got it. I'm still really not sure where I stand on it. which brings us really into what I will talk about next for the future. Everyone watching the fight and the fighters themselves seem to agree that a fourth fight makes sense. I mean, for the first time in UFC history, and really the first time that I've ever heard of in general, a trilogy is at 1-1-1. So really, I mean, it kind of makes sense anyway, just to break that massive tie. And you can't tell who the superior fighter is, even after this whole time. You cannot tell who is the best. Because I mean, I was left kind of thinking, oh, maybe Moreno, but Figgy also dropped him and he has the belt right now. So it's kind of like, I don't know. So I don't know. Do we do the fourth fight? Maybe. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Plus, I will make a further point in a little bit about maybe why we should do it. But first, I don't know. I think maybe we should keep the division moving. That's what I kind of keep thinking, because they haven't fought anybody else for over a year. The rest of the division is still tied up. Keep the division moving. Keep people fighting. I don't know. Anyway, I would say if we were going to keep it moving, I would say Figgy should fight the winner of Askarov and Pantoja, because that seems to be happening. As for Moreno, because again, they're the number 2 and 3 is Askarov and Pantoja, so that makes a lot of sense. As for Moreno, I'm thinking probably Kai Kara-France, and we talked about that before. He gets the rematch there because Kai Kara-France, or no, that was Brandon Royval that lost to him. Either way, I think Kai Kara-France kind of deserves it. He's been doing really well. That being said, I said we were going to come back to it. I do see why they were going to do why they're thinking of doing the fourth fight. It's completely even. Plus, and here's the problem, if one of them somehow loses to Askarov or Pantoja or Kara-France, then the fourth fight doesn't make sense anymore. That's why. So, and then none of us are ever going to know. We're going to go the rest of our lives without seeing an ending to the quadrilogy. Or maybe, a few years from now, they're going to do it just for closure. I don't know. But, it probably wouldn't be for a title. So it's kind of like, you kind of have to do it now, or else we might never see it. So in that kind of way, it kind of makes sense to do the fight. I don't know. I'm still kind of tossed up. I'd be fine with whatever the UFC decides, with whatever the fighters decide. Because, I mean, either one of them, they're going to have great fights no matter what. I mean, the flyweights are insane. Those two are so good. I'd like to see them fight anybody. But it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense, don't you think? I don't know. And this is where we could add some comments and, leave your comments. What do you think? I don't know. I'm always open to comments. Nobody ever comments. I read if anybody comments, I always read them. But anyway, going into the main event, Francis Ngannou, Cyril Gane, the heavyweight title unifier. Like a lot of people, I will not say everybody, because I would say this one was it was basically the same as the fight we just talked about. Everybody was 50-50 going into it, and aggressively 50-50, by the way. There were very aggressive people on either sides of both of these fights. I had gone by decision, based on what we had seen. We had already talked about it, and I still maintain the fact that I will probably always pick that way. Not necessarily in these two, but that the more well-rounded fighter on paper will always be ahead for me against a power puncher. But little did I know, and little did anybody know, that Francis, not just a power puncher here anymore. And that is what made the difference. Because if I would have known that, I would not have said that. I would have said Ngannou was going to win. Who knew? Ngannou, the wrestler. Anyway, so what happened here? Wait. Right away, we saw Gane stick to the plan. The first 2 rounds easily went to him, for sure. And that's exactly what we all thought would happen. Gon was controlling him with the striking, took the first 2 rounds, kept him at a distance. That's what we expected. And I think everybody expected that to just continue the whole rest of the fight. Easily won those first 2 rounds. And then in the third and the fourth and the fifth, we saw Francis the wrestler. Who thought we would have ever seen that? With a previous best of 1 takedown, 1 singular takedown in a fight. He shattered that record, got 4 of them in those 2 rounds, the fourth and was it the third? Yeah, third and fourth, because the fifth Gon actually got the takedown and he reversed him. That's why. So yeah, anyway, in those 2 rounds, he got 4 takedowns, shattered his record, quadrupled his record. In fact, it was actually the first time that Gon had ever been put on his back in a UFC fight. Huge to do. But we also know exactly why that is, and it's because Ngannou is a beast. He is a literal monster. He's huge. He probably came in that night. Apparently, he actually did cut down, even though he was like 257, I think it was. He actually still cut down to that. So he actually probably was like 270 or so on the night, whereas Gon doesn't really do that. So he was still weighed, an extra 30 pounds-ish, pure muscle, of course. So, he's just got insane power. So, we all should have probably figured that this was going to happen eventually. I don't know why most of us didn't, because I did see on Twitter a couple people did think that was going to happen. But yeah, and Gon, it's funny because Gon even said after, Francis doesn't necessarily have the skill. And I could tell that too, because I was like, Gon is definitely the more skilled person on the ground. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter because he's so strong. He's so huge. He's so strong. It doesn't matter that he doesn't have good technique because he's just so big. Yeah, that's really all we saw. So the third and the fourth round, very clearly 2-2, because Gon didn't have a chance to do anything in the third and fourth round. So, it was 2-2 going into the fifth round. And in the final round, Gon, he had an amazing chance to win the fight. Seriously. He looked like he was going to win. He was on top. He got Francis down. He got the takedown, nailed it, was holding him there. And that's all he had to do. If he would have just done that, seriously, and I'm not even kidding, if he would have done that for the next minute, maybe 2 minutes, Gon would be the champion right now. He would have won 3 rounds to 2. But he didn't. And that's even what the commentators were saying too. He made a huge mistake. He went for the leg lock. And, it kind of made sense why he went for it a little bit. You don't want to leave it to the judges. You go for the finish. And you knew that Francis's legs were busted up. So going for the leg lock, it kind of made sense. But, we all knew it was 2-2. If his coaches would have said that the coaches, hey, it's 2-2. Just win the round. Don't do anything crazy. Don't do anything crazy on the ground here. Do not do that. Just stay on top. And that's it. Win it out. Win the round. That's all you got to do. If they would have said that, I think we would be seeing Gon as the champion right now. I really do, because he was on top. Went for the leg lock. The leg lock didn't work. And then Francis just easily got out of it and went on top of him. And then that was it. That was it. Because you can't get up when Ngannou's on top of you. But you can keep him down when you weigh 200 and something pounds, which is what I was saying. So really all Gon had to do, didn't even have to do anything. Didn't have to do a bunch of strikes. Didn't have to do anything. Just had to keep him on his back, which is what Ngannou did in the third and fourth rounds. So if Gon could have done that, we would have seen a new champion. Devastating to see. And it's so sad because, he knew that he lost. It was sad to see. He's a super nice guy. And, he's young. He's undefeated. So, it just sucks to see him lose because of a simple mistake like that. Because and I think a lot of people would have thought that too. If they were really paying attention, that's really all he had to do. So, it sucks to see that. But the commentators said, they even said it was probably because of that inexperience. He's only a few years into fighting. I think this is like his third or fourth year in fighting, which is absolutely insane in MMA, I should say. So, I mean, that's crazy that he's fighting for the unified belts. He already had the interim belt. That's crazy to say. So, obviously, and he's young, obviously, we'll see him back again. I'm sure. Like, I can pretty much guarantee you, Gon will be a champion again. Just, it's not going to be with, who is going to be next? I don't know. But we will see Gon again with the belt. I'm sure of it. He is so good. All he's got to do, and it's crazy because he's so smart and he's so strategically sound that he made that one tiny mistake. But yeah, so he's just got a couple little things to work on. That's really all it is. I mean, if he just works on a couple of small things, he's going to be he's already basically unbeatable, but it's just going to give him that extra level. Anyway, so what's going to happen? What's going to happen now? I don't know. Nobody knows. And it's really mostly up to how Ngannou feels. He says he'll probably need surgery. He did say that in the conference. So, because he did have those injuries, which actually he said he was almost going to drop out of the fight, but didn't want to, which is amazing that he did that. Because he didn't have to do that. He could have just pushed it away. But anyway, so he's got to deal with that. So, of course, there's that. But, of course, we've been talking. I think we talked about it, but it's also just been all over the internet. Everybody knows about it. The contract stuff for the past month or two with Francis. What does he do now? He had, as a champion, I just found this out actually while watching the post-fight press conference because they were talking about it there. As a champion, you have to fight. You don't have to fight. You have to stay under contract with the UFC for a full year. You don't have to fight. You do not have to fight under that contract, but you have to stay under that contract, which means that he can't do his boxing. He can't go somewhere else. He can't do any of that. He has to stay under contract with the UFC. So what does that mean? They asked him that in the post-fight press conference, and he said, I don't really care. That's what he said. Well, not word for word, but he said that he doesn't care. He would stay out for the whole year. He doesn't mind that at all. He said he only fights once a year as it is. Then why not? Why not just take the year off and then leave? I feel like, as a fight fan, that's terrible to hear because of course we want to see Ngannou fight. Of course we do. We want to see him defend the belt again, whether that's against Stipe, against John Jones, against Gon again. Anybody. Like, we want to see him fight again, but if he's not getting paid, then we're not going to see it. I don't know. Like, so, I mean, who knows? Like, there's no way of knowing what we're going to be seeing in the next year from that. I would say, if it's going to keep going on like this, I don't think Dana White I don't think that's a good business decision to get rid of him. I think that's stupid. That's idiotic to get rid of one of the best MMA fighters of all time. Like, seriously, one of, not necessarily the GOAT of the heavyweight division, but seriously in the conversation for it at this point. So to get rid of him just because of money when you're a $1 billion company is absolutely insane. So yeah, that's stupid. And even though, which is terrible, because I mean, like, if you were paying attention, he also didn't go to the post-fight press conference, Dana. He did not go. Plus, he also did not put the belt on Francis. Dana. I like him. He's hilarious. He's super honest. He's a great businessman. Everything he does, I mean, he's so good at what he does. But this was kind of just like, it was so cringe. I was just like, what are you doing? Like, just suck it up put the belt on him, go to the conference at least. If you're not going to put the belt on him, just be like, okay, I'm not going to put the belt on you. I'm not with you like that. Okay. I could have even seen that. I really could have. I would have been like, oh, okay. But to not go to the conference after, I mean, come on. How petty is that? That's just silly. Anyway, that's all that aside. Anyway, so where do we go from here? I lost my train of thought in here. Champions clause. Yep. If we were to see a fight, if he were to fight, a rematch with Stipe would make a lot of sense. Why have we not seen Stipe? Where in the world is Stipe Miocic? Probably in Cleveland somewhere. But we need to see him again. I don't know why he hasn't been fighting. I seriously have no idea. I genuinely don't know. So we could see that rematch. That would make a lot of sense. Gun would make a lot of sense. We just saw it. But like I said, he was literally one move away from winning. Like, I don't even know why nobody's saying they want to see that. Like, it makes a lot of sense. Anyway, whatever. Plus, there's the obvious addition. Jon Jones is going to be fighting in the heavyweight division. He said specifically he will be coming back in 2022. Dana said he's coming back in 2022. So we will see him in the heavyweight division 2022 this year. Who will he be fighting? I don't know. Nobody knows. But do you give him a title shot right away? Honestly, I don't think so. A lot of people are saying yes. I don't think that's really justified. Yes, he's pretty much the greatest fighter the UFC has ever seen, but he hasn't fought in 2 years. So, and he's in a new division with much bigger people. So and he's getting older now too. So do you throw him at the title shot right away? Honestly, I don't think so. So I think what would make the most sense is Jon Jones either fights Stipe or Gon. Either one of those would make a lot of sense. Yeah. And what's crazy to think is we're probably going to have another interim champion 6 months from now. Because that's the time period that Francis has to fight and defend his belt before they do another interim championship. And that seems to be not happening. So it seems like what's probably going to be happening is we will see another interim fight 6 months from now. And honestly, what I could see happening is we're going to see Gon and Stipe for the belt, or we're going to see Gon and Jones for the belt. Gon's probably going to be in there. That's what I think, because he already had the interim belt. He lost a close one to Francis. Also, of course, they want to push Gon back in the title picture. It's good for MMA. It really is. Of course it is. He's the first French person to hold a belt. So, of course, it's good for the sport. Plus, he's young. He's undefeated. He was undefeated. He's so well-rounded. He's likable. So it obviously makes sense for the UFC to push him at that. That's probably what we'll see. So he's going to be in that no matter what, I think. What would make the most sense, I think, is probably Stipe and Jon going for an interim, but you never know. Well, actually, what probably would make the most sense is actually Stipe and Gon. That would make sense. But you're probably going to throw Jones in there just for the pay-per-view dollars, and it also kind of makes sense. Brings the hype up a bit. Because, of course we want to see Jones again, but even more people would want to see it if Jones was fighting for a belt in the heavyweight division. Anyway, that's probably what we're going to be seeing. I don't know. It's all up in the air. The heavyweights are all over the place. And I mean, really, the rest of the division is a whole mess too. Who knows? We could even see Tuivasa. We could see Ty doing a shoey with the interim belt on. Who knows? Wouldn't that be amazing? Holy shit. Anyway, so I'll talk about the bonuses and then we'll call it a night. For the bonuses, KO of the night. I said it would. Oh, that's interesting. Huge moving truck outside right now. KO of the night. Matt Frivola. Sub of the night, of course it was Said Nurmagomedov. 52nd sub against a formerly ranked opponent. Unreal. Brawl of the night, of course, I said it already. Raoni Barcelos, Victor Henry, amazing. And of course, most valuable fighter, plus rookie of the month, Victor Henry. He was the biggest underdog of the night, fought a dangerous UFC veteran. Not only that, he fought, oh yeah, that was the other thing. He fought on 2 weeks' notice. 2 weeks' notice, had absolutely insane cardio, broke records in the striking part of that, against a UFC veteran, and just looked amazing. I mean, it was crazy. So all of that put together, of course, he was the most valuable fighter. And of course, because of that, of course, he is my first rookie of the month. That's all we got for today. If you want to hear about any of the other sports, Area 51 got you covered. Head over to that website. It's all linked below. Plus, of course, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I've got other YouTubes. All my stuff is also linked below. That's pretty much it. Like I said, sadly, the Canadian event that was supposed to be on Friday was moved back, I believe, to March. That kind of sucks. So we'll be back next Wednesday, and we'll just be talking about the next event, which is Strickland and I want to say Hermanson. I actually can't remember, and I didn't write it down. But I know Sean Strickland is in there too. Always entertaining. Lunatic Sean Strickland is up on Saturday. Seriously, if you're not following him on Twitter, you're missing out. He's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I don't know. He's so crazy. Anyway, just check him out. Anyway, that's it for me. I will see you next time.